Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Live Magic Q&A Tea Party. With me, your host, Madame Pamita, and our special guest this week, Shelley Kaehr. Shelley is an amazing, amazing author, super magical person, and I'm so excited to have her on the show. And we're going to be talking about all kinds of things, but in particular, past lives and past lives with pets, which is her new book. Super exciting. So if you are new and you just stumble upon this video somewhere out in the ether out there and you're going, what is this? This is the Live Magic Q&A Tea Party. We have it every week on Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern. It's a live Zoom meeting. We meet together every week, and every week we have a different guest. So we learn so much and we have such a fun time. If you want to come into the clubhouse, it is an easy thing to do. You can get the code, the Zoom code to come and join us by going to spellsquad.com. And if you go there, you'll sign up to be on my newsletter, and what you'll get is an immediate email with the link to join. So you'll be able to join us anytime. That link never changes. So once you're in the clubhouse, you're in the clubhouse as many times as you want to join us here. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know that I have a YouTube channel. I also have a website called Parlor of Wonders. That's where you'll find me, Madame Pamita, and all the things that I offer, including candles, spell kits, and all kinds of fun things like that. I do readings, and of course, all the free information on how to do magic that I offer over there under my instructions tab. If you look under instruction, you'll find all kinds of how-to guides and videos and blog posts, articles, all kinds of good things, including the Live Magic Q&A schedule. I'm sorry, yes, Live Magic Q&A schedule. You'll find that under there. I was like, for a second, I'm like, oh wait, maybe it's not under there. Yes, it is under there. And you'll see our calendar to see who our guests are gonna be each week. So you wanna check it out by going to parlorofwonders.com. I have a new book of candle magic coming out, and it's in pre-order right now. It's called The Book of Candle Magic, and it's going to be coming out in October of 2020, but you can pre-order it. And I'm encouraging people to do a really good deed, which is to pre-order it from your local bookstore. Our bookstores really need us right now. It's hard for retail stores right now, and you can call them up or send them an email. You don't have to go by, they don't have to be there, but you can leave a message for them and pre-order the book. When you pre-order that book, they'll have it for you when it comes out in October, and you'll be helping to support a mom and pop business, a small business in this time when we really, really need that. So it's fine if you want to order it on one of those big places online, the behemoths online, there's no problem in doing that. But if you want to have some extra good karma, take care of our bookstores and pre-order it from them. And that's such a good thing to do, right? So let me tell you a little bit about our guest today. Shelley is a past life regression practitioner. She's in private practice. She's been doing it for 20 years. She's in Dallas, Texas. You're from Texas. I just was in Dallas last summer. It was gorgeous there. I had such a great time. She received her PhD in Parapsychic Science from the American Institute of Holistic Theology. I had to read that one because that was a long one. And she's a certified clinical hypnotherapist. She's a master hypnotist and a master practitioner of NLP, which is Neuro Linguistic Programming. It's easier to say NLP, isn't it? Her work has been featured prominently in the media on programs such as William Shatner's Weird or What, and you can find her at pastlifelady.com. She also has a YouTube channel, which you can find if you just search Past Life Lady, she'll pop up. She also has an Instagram, which is Shelley Kaehr, and I'll put all these links in the chat. And I'll also put them below on when you look at this video on YouTube, they'll be down below in the description. And she's on Twitter as Shelley Kaehr. And I want to point out, this is the thing I'm super excited about. She has a brand new book that just came out. And oh, now it's not on my thing here. Oh, of course my thing has to reload. My reader has to reload. Isn't that the way? I just had it up there. I showed you. You've got the book.
If I can get the light on it.
There we go. Past Lives with Pets is the book. And that is an amazing book. Just came out. See, here's my copy right here. I have a copy too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. It's such a fantastic, phenomenal book. I'm just so excited about this book because it addresses something that my clients will come to me. You know, I'm not a person that promotes myself as a pet psychic or an animal psychic or anything like that, but people's pets are really important. And when I do past life work and we talk about things like soul groups, I often say to people that the people that are in your soul group can come back, of course, as family members or lovers or friends, but I also say that they can come back as pets. And sure enough, once in a while, someone will say, yes, my pet, I really feel like they were important to me. They were another animal that I had in a past life, or that they were a person that I knew in a past life. And I've heard tons of stories about this just from doing past life work. So I have to say, I've read the book, so I know your story with Biscuit, but I want you to tell everybody your story with Biscuit. So Biscuit is Shelley's cat, who's not too far away from you right now. May wake up.
He's ignoring me now. He's busy sleeping. Come on,
Come on, lady.
I'd love him to come on TV, but he's too busy. So we'll see if he does it.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for being on the show. And second, I can't wait for you to tell everybody your story about Biscuit.
Yeah, he's my little love. If you go on my Instagram account, you'll definitely see a lot of pictures of a little Biscuit. So I wrote this book. A lot of the books I write, maybe they come about because of a joke I'm telling. Like, I thought, this cat has got some really good karma to have me as his owner, because I am waiting on him hand and foot, carrying him around. And I thought I was kind of just making a joke. I would certainly love to come back as my cat. And then over the years, just in little conversations that you have with people, I do hear from dozens of people who say, well, yeah, I feel like I've known my cat before, or this pet that I have now, I looked into this pet's eyes and I know that, this was my same puppy that I used to have when I was in the 3rd grade, or, stuff like that. And so I just had an idea that it would be a good idea to write a book about our pets. And so, I went on a past life regression because I did feel like I knew Biscuit. And one of the things that's always been very validating to me about when you go on an actual hypnotic regression is that the stuff that you thought was going to come up is not usually what comes up at all. And so I went into this past life where I was this little girl living in Scotland, and there he was. Biscuit was a Scottish sheep, and the family had a little wool farm, and so he was my special little charge that I was supposed to take care of him, and I was brushing him just like I do now, because Biscuit's got these little stubby legs, and he's one of these ragamuffin cats, so he's one of these ones that just goes blah, and wants everybody to haul him around all the time. So he kind of looked like that. I was like, my gosh, it's him. And so in the regression, I had this whole story. This is the same thing that happens to clients. You have this story that's going to tell you what you were doing then, how it's applying to what we're doing now. And what I saw was that the little girl, me, had gotten very ill, and this poor sheep really grieved for her. And so in this current life, Biscuit gets really, like, he'll get like the flu symptoms or something. When I go out of town, even for a couple of days, he just can't stand to be away from me. So it just kind of brought me a deeper connection. And also he's really strange because he doesn't meow, and I got him from a shelter. So I thought maybe, unfortunately, he had been abused or something. But when he gets really wound up, he will say something, but he has these little noises he makes that are, very strangely sheep-like, that are super cute. I'll try to get them on video for everyone someday. I don't have them yet, but, and we all, everybody in the room tonight, you all could talk about, we could get y'all on here, and everybody could go around the room, and we could just swap pet stories all night, because you know what I'm talking about. Pets are consciousness. We all have a connection with them, and each one of them has their own little quirky personality traits. And you have to ask yourself, well, where does this stuff come from? It comes from the soul. And I totally agree, Pamita. Obviously, it would be ridiculous for us to think that the friends we have in this life, who we know are in our soul group, that our pet would not be a part of that, because your pet is the one person who has your back when no one else does, who spends 24 hours a day with you. And it's a very special relationship, and it can span, 10, 20 years, depending on what kind of animal you have. It's a very deep relationship. And these pets are teaching us how to love ourselves, how to give love, how to care for others. And they're doing it and showing us what it feels like to receive the unconditional love that we all, deserve to feel. And so, yeah, it's just been kind of a fun project. And I've I've just heard from so many people. They send me their little animal photos. That is so cute. I mean, I love it. So I just love hearing from readers. And so,
Yeah. Oh, it's such a great book. And it just came out like a couple weeks ago, right? It's just brand new. It just came out. And it is I just love, as a person who does past life readings and past life sessions with people, I never get bored reading past life stories. Like, I don't, you think like, don't you get enough of it in your work life? No, it's just like fascinating to think about this whole other dimension of how our pets and our connection to our pets is that bonded and that strong that we can have that relationship over and over and over again. I have a question that I sort of brought up before we got started. We were meeting right before the session opened, and I was saying, oh, I'm going to talk to you about my cat, Glinda. I wish I could get her to wake up. Hey, Glinda, come here. Come here. Glinda, come here. Oh, she's kind of looking like she might come over. Anyway, we'll see if she comes over. But she is the most hilarious cat, because the whole story of how we got together was a funny, like I think a synchronicity, like, a huge synchronicity of how like your pets come to you. And this is not unusual. Like our pets often come to us, like, like the pet will come when you're supposed to have the pet, right? So I had been kind of going like, I had a cat that passed away about 10 years ago. And I was like, I should get another cat. And then I was always like, well, I travel a lot. Yeah, back and forth. And I kind of felt like, I want one, but I kind of think, I'm traveling so much. I'm going on, teaching workshops all over the country. It's not really responsible of me to be having a cat. Well, I was sitting at home, typing in my living room, and I hear this scritchy, scritch, 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 scritch noise. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Is that like a twig on the window or something like that? I'm like, oh, what is it? And then I'm typing. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see a mouse running through my house. And I go, ow, there's a mouse in our house. Oh, gross. Oh, it gives me the willies, right? Anything that moves fast like that, I get the willies, fast bugs. I don't mind spiders, but roaches and things that move fast freak me out. So I'm like, oh crap. So I thought, well, okay, I'll get a little mouse trap and I'll catch the mouse. So I got a mouse trap. Scritch, scritch, scritch. I'm hearing that mouse, but no, mouse won't go in the trap. Mouse is too smart to go in the trap, right? I'm like, oh man, how am I gonna? I go, you know what? I guess I have to get a cat, because the scent of the cat will keep the mouse out of the house. It's time for me to get that cat. So I'm going, well, my last cat was a black cat. I want a black cat. So I'm looking around at the different shelters and everything. And there's this cutest little black cat. Oh my gosh, so cute. Green eyes, so beautiful, at the shelter. And it was Friday night, and Saturday morning I went. The first thing is they opened in the shelter. Well, that's the rescue place. It's not the shelter. They get them from the shelter and bring them to the rescue place. And they go, oh, somebody went to the shelter earlier than you this morning, before we brought them over to the rescue place, and took the black cat. But we've got this one, and I have to get her and show you. Hold on. She's not a black cat.
Now I'm thinking of calling Biscuit over.
Come here.
Biscuit. See how much fun we can have when we're at home with our animals.
This is my little Glinda. So she was there, and she was like I wouldn't have picked her because I'm just like, I wanted a black cat. I wanted a witchy cat, right? But she is so magical, and she's my girl. Like she just immediately let me go like this to her. She didn't have a problem with anything. I mean, she was super comfortable around other animals. She's super friendly. And I go, oh, you're the one I'm supposed to have. It wasn't supposed to be that black cat. That's why the black cat got adopted by somebody else. She's perfect. She's my girl. She is like my perfect girl in every single way. She cracks me up. And she does this funny thing, which I think I've never had a cat like this. She talks to me like she's having a conversation with me. So she'll come in from outside and she'll go, like she's telling me what's going on outside. And then when I talk to her, I say, well, really? Tell me more. And she'll go, meow, meow, meow. So I have this feeling like she must have been a human
That's
in a past
exactly
life.
right. Yes. I think they're trying to say something because they know you should be able to understand what they're saying. Because they know they used to be able to talk to you, and now they're going, what's going on around here? I totally believe that. Absolutely.
Yeah, she just has a conversation with me like we're having a conversation. Is the most hilarious thing. So anyway, she was my meant to be cat. She wasn't, I wouldn't have picked her out from a picture, but when I got there, she was my one. She was the only cat that was there. And I'm like, well, then she's my cat. And then the mouse miraculously never appeared, never came back, never got caught, never, he just disappeared. So the mouse was like the sign from the universe, you need to get the cat. She's going to be there right now and you need to go get her right now. So I look at that mouse as a synchronicity. I'm glad the mouse survived. I don't mind the mouse surviving, just not in my house,
Yes.
you know?
Elsewhere.
Yes, exactly. Like, so that was a fascinating story of how we got, well, how I got together with her, how the two of us got together and how we came together. She was an adult kitty and she came into my life and she's my little love. I just adore her. So yeah.
That's so precious. There's definitely a destiny to meeting your animal. I mean, because the same thing happened with Biscuit. My cat had passed away. My other cat, Goo, who I also write about in the book, Goo was one who would be like, rah, 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 rah. I just, oh, okay, yes, mistress. Okay, let me get your meal. Excuse me. Um, but she was also a love of my life. And when she passed away, you know, I think there's that temptation when we say, I can never love again. I just can't do this again because I'm heartbroken. And so I was kind of in my space and I heard my guide say, go to the animal shelter. And I was like, what? No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But, you know, if we don't go do it, these animals aren't going to make it. So we need to just get back on the horse and get out there. And so I did. And then there was little Biscuit. And that's got to be, it's all destiny. I mean, how can you say it's not when you're getting ready to spend 5, 10, 15, 20 years with someone?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely preordained.
Yeah. And she just cannot, I mean, she's like, you know, paper and glue. I mean, she sticks right to me, just like Biscuit sticks right to you. And, you know, here she's an adult cat. She came into my life, but she's like my best friend. She's so adorable. And, you know, it's like Biscuit was you're meant to be. It's like that kind of like falling in love where like we're meant to be.
It is.
It is with our pets, isn't it? So, well, are you ready to look at some questions from some people? I'm sure there's going to be some great questions. So let's look and see what people have to say. Oh, by the way, I knew we had talked about, before we get started with the questions, you had talked about at the end of the show, we're going to talk about some special giveaway that you're going to be doing. So we'll talk about that at the end. But you also said that you would do a reading for someone at the end of the session, like a little brief, super couple of minute reading for someone at the end. So I thought, and we had talked about this beforehand, you said, well, they can pick a topic, love, money, or health. Was that what you said?
Yes.
Love,
Those
money, or health.
biggies. That's very
Okay.
simplified, but yeah, love, health, and money. I mean, what else?
So if you want to be in the running, you know, in the raffle for the reading at the end of the show, just go into chat and write love, or you could put a heart emoji, money, or you could put a money emoji, I guess, and health. I don't know what you put for health emoji. What would a health emoji be? I don't know. Anyway.
Thumb up.
Thumb up. Okay. So you can put an emoji or write love, money, or health, and then you'll be in that sweepstakes where we'll do a little drawing at the end for someone to get a reading from Shelley. So while you guys are doing that, let's look at some questions. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, here's a good one. Bruce asked a question. Are there any tips for using a past life? I don't know about that, or crystals for locating a lost object? Do you ever deal with lost objects, or how do you do lost object finding? Have you ever done that?
Well, I like pendulums as tools. You know, I use those a lot. I'm not the best personally at finding lost objects. I usually just have to kind of meditate and just maybe go have a dream about it. I suspect, well, this is another whole story, but I started identifying a phenomenon. This is a little bit connected to what you're saying, where people were having spontaneous past life memories when they were either traveling in foreign lands where all of a sudden the modern surroundings go away and they remember when they were there in the 1500s, or to what Bruce is saying, like, let's say I was in a museum and now I'm near some artifact, and then the artifact might cause a spontaneous past life memory to come up. So along those lines, in terms of objects, I've had many people, well, first this stuff happened to me just like everything else. And then I went out and started interviewing people and realizing that this is a really common phenomenon. So sometimes like an object that's lost, this sounds kind of weird, but even objects that we're really, really attracted to, there's reasons for that as well. Maybe we used something similar in a past life. Maybe it just reminds us of something like at a deep soul level. And so we're attracted to it. And so if it was lost, sometimes I feel like that's your guides, like they're hiding it. Or because sometimes what if I was going to go have a garage sale and they didn't want me selling that thing, they'll just hide it under a pillow and I'll find it a year later. But there's a lot of different reasons for that. But just, I don't know. That's not quite your answer, I know. But thinking about objects and your connections to past lives is kind of one of the things I think is super cool. So
yeah, you have that amazing word, that French word, which I can't remember now but it's such a, it's
super retro. I guess I make up hard words. I don't know. Super retro, like retro from the past, and V, which is French, which means life. It's like supernaturally, I'm having a memory of a life, but it's coming in from a supernatural source. And it is actually incredibly common. And it could happen from objects.
Yeah. I have it happen to me. I'm one of the people, like your people that you interview, that it happens to all the time. And a reverse version of that, which I don't know if you talk about that in that book, is when I see a movie from a period where I had a past life and I'm like, that's not what it looked like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes.
Anytime I see a movie of the court of King Louis the 15th or, 1700s French court, I'm like, their hair's all wrong. That's not what they wore. They wouldn't have done that. I mean, I can't enjoy the movie because I'm sitting there going, that's not what it was like back then.
Yeah.
Just like if you see, like for me, if I see a movie in the 70s, like taking place in the 70s, I'm like, their hair isn't right. It's the same sort of thing, but this is like going into past life stuff. So it's fascinating, like how that happens. And then when you look at artifacts or you're in certain places and you have that, it can be like a feeling of like deja vu. It's absolutely that amazing thing. And you have a whole book about that, right?
Yes. Yeah. I wrote a book series about that because, I was just having a lot of weird reactions to traveling and things like that. And I know that this happens all the time. I think that if you're kind of more psychically inclined, maybe you're more aware of it. But I think that everybody, I think, has gone on a vacation, had a hideous time. And then sometimes I think we just think, well, I guess I don't like that place. But what if there's more to it than that? And that's kind of what happened to me. I was called back to go to Key West a couple of different times after I vowed never to go there again. And I thought, hey, wow, duh, maybe I should have a past life regression to see what the problem is. It hadn't even occurred to me because this stuff is so deeply in our subconscious. You just know you didn't have a good time. You just kind of put it away. And so when I had a regression, I saw where I had perished on the beach there when I was a pirate in the 1700s, and I had crawled to the beach. And so I went back that second time and I was able to get closer to that area and then just go around the island and have a very enjoyable time after using the regression, not to remember who I was in the past, but to actually just energetically heal from that thing that had happened in the past.
That's the beautiful thing about past life regression, is that there's so much about it that is like lifting off and releasing and kind of allowing you to move on, which is such a phenomenon you see, I'm sure, with your clients all the time, that it lets you be free. I mean, you talk about it in the book when you talk about your relationship with dogs, and your experience with dogs and how the past life regression also healed that as well, So.
Yeah, I had viewers. When I was a little kid, I was attacked by a family dog when I was 4 years old, and basically had my head in the dog's mouth, ripped off my nose and different things. Anyway, it was very traumatic, but it was so as a 4-year-old, it was so deeply embedded, like into the deepest part of my subconscious, that I just had a lifelong fear of dogs. And so I'm kind of stubborn though. And I thought I need to it's not something that's bad enough that you're going to say, hey, I need to go get a therapist. But every now and then it just kept coming up. And so again, I didn't go for past life regression initially. But I think that a lot of times we're in our minds thinking that what's going to come up in the past life, as I said earlier, it's either totally different than what actually does come up, or we're thinking it's going to be so much more terrorizing than what actually comes up. So I was expecting, well, I probably, this happened to me probably in a past life. But when I went into the regression, I actually found the exact opposite. I saw all these lifetimes where I had been with dogs. They were my companions. They were my helpers and my best friends. And I don't know, it just went doing, okay, I don't need to do that anymore. And then I was just done. And now dogs come up to me. I don't have a problem with it anymore. And so it can be a real paradigm shifter, and it's helped me personally so much that that's the reason why I wanted to do it for others. And so now I love dogs, and I think
Yeah.
that's a lot of things. We're making up stuff in our mind, and we're making it seem and be worse than what the actual reality is, even though the reality is a little, it's a little out there. It's in the past lives. But when we can do that, it's just creating more peace in the now, because that's the only reason why we want to do it. We want to be more peaceful in the now, and we want to make a little more space so that we can have the most enjoyable current life, that we can.
It's such a healing practice. I love past life work. I mean, I think it's just it heals like so effortlessly when we bring that stuff up. It's not like you had to do tons and tons of therapy and all kinds of things about your dog bite. You did the past life regressions where you saw yourself, with companion dogs and having those friendships, and that it was so healing and so beautiful for, realizing that this one experience that you had in this lifetime is not the whole of your experiences. I love that story. So good.
Yeah.
So anyway, but to get back to Bruce's question, I am in agreement with you. If you're going to do some kind of finding lost items thing, what I would start with is using a pendulum. Shelley had said, use a pendulum. It's a good place to start, where you can just look at yes or no. And, you can look online and find tons of information about finding lost objects with a pendulum. I mean, that's a pretty well-known technique, to use. All right, let's look at some more questions. All right, so Nina has a question. She said, are you connected to animals in human life that you knew? So if you're human now and have an animal companion, could you have known that animal when you were an animal in a past life?
Yes, that is possible.
Yeah.
The case studies in this book, I have heard that once I sent this book in to be published, let's just say there's more cases of this that have come forth. So I have heard cases like what you're talking about, but in this particular book, they're not in that book. But yes, there are cases where, like, let's say your little Glenda, the good witch over there, maybe you were her cat. You never know. I don't know. I don't want to say that. I don't know if that's true. But, there could be a time in the past where the roles were reversed. Yeah. And that I have definitely heard that before. Yes.
So that means we're going to have a past life with pets too, right?
The sequel. Everyone else has a sequel. Why not?
More past lives with pets.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
All right. So Daisy has a question. Wow, this is amazing. She says, I have a very special pet from childhood. She talks to me still after 4 decades. So the past has passed on, and she's still getting messages from her pet. The way she communicates is phenomenal to me. So do you have any stories about pet spirits, that are still around, or pet spirits communicating with people when they're not in physical form? They haven't reincarnated yet, but they're in spirit form.
Yes, there's a lot of people, such as myself, thank you, who believe, our pets are like our little angels in life, but certainly many of them graduate into being our little guardian angels who look out for us from the other side. And absolutely, you can feel their presence. I've had those experiences myself, and I've talked to readers who have had those experiences. They do look out for us. And sometimes in this book, one of the interesting phenomena would be, let's say, well, it's one of my stories as well. I had a pair of cats when I was a child who came back to me with a lot of the same traits in my adulthood, because they just weren't done. I guess they wanted more of this. Hello.
More spoiling, right?
Oh, I'm being silly right now, but they could maybe come back more than once in a different lifetime. But then of course there's also our little lovely angels. I think that's really beautiful, because again, it's that love. I was doing one of the big, yesterday it was Memorial Day weekend. That's what we're kind of in right now. And I did a journey on my Past Life Lady channel that maybe some of your viewers will want to go see, because in the pet book, one of the big processes that we need to talk about is, what are we going to do when our pet passes away? I mean, that is so devastating. That is like losing a member of your family. And so my guides were telling me, let's just go out and try YouTube Live, because I'd never done it before. And just take everybody through that journey. So it's on my YouTube channel now, where I expanded it for Memorial Day, because in Memorial Day, obviously, we're thanking our soldiers, we're thanking the sacrifices, but we're also taking a moment now to think of anybody we loved and lost. And obviously our furry little angel heads need to go into that category as well. So I take you on this journey where we go into a really beautiful healing space, and we meet with our fuzzball. And because I've done a lot of grief work with people over the years, and I think that when we have this sensation of they're out there and I'm over here and now I'm not with them anymore, that is really part of what causes intense pain. And so I think that it's really beautiful that you can connect with your pet like that, because they're still here. You know, quantum physics says matter does not get destroyed. They're vibrating at a different frequency. And I think it's a blessing if you can acknowledge that and say, hey, she's here, because then that feeling that you're having inside the body is just one of peace and calm. And, you know, she's still there supporting you. She's still there loving you. And in some cases, those pets will take on new forms and come back into your life, kind of like the ones do in that movie, The Dog's Journey. Or if you read the book, I went to the library one day and read that. I was like literally, I was bawling my head off. I'm sure they thought I was a crazy lady. But I think it's beautiful when we can connect with our babies.
Yeah.
And so I say, wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because some people have a real comfort and ease with them being in spirit form. Like, I'm like, with my cats that have passed on, being in spirit form, I'm like, you get to decide when you come back. And then I think there's other times that, you know, other situations maybe where people are really longing to have that cat or dog or that pet back in physical form again, and they may call them with their strong desire to come back and reincarnate quickly. But I wonder if it's more of the person that is calling that pet back, or if it's the pet choice, or if it's both. I don't know. What do you think?
There's got to be some kind of soul agreement between you and the pet. But in the case of these cats that I had when I was a kid, it was one mouse hunting killer and a fuzzball that looked like a throw pillow. And so the fuzzball didn't know how to take care of himself. And so the killer used to have to clean him, and she was like his mother. And then she was just out catting around all the time and was always getting into trouble. And it was eating the neighbor's fish out of one of those big koi ponds, and ended up dragging home and had been poisoned, unfortunately, and passed away when I was a little kid. It was really horrible. And in the next time they came around, I mean, there was another fuzzball that looked like a throw pillow. She was taking care of him, another killer cat, yes, but she would go out and cat around. She got a leg injury because this other cat, when I was a kid, had also been run over by a car, which I also honestly believe was the neighbors trying to take her out. And she had injured her left leg very badly, and we had a pin put in it. So in the next round, she went out, was gone for a month, came back, and had a left leg injury that was very severe. Took her to the vet, and they said, well, probably a coyote got her, or a hawk or something, and she survived. She came in, and then she ended up living this really long life. She was like 22 years old when she passed away. And the other cat had some health challenges and passed away earlier, where in the other incarnation, they didn't do it the same. So I almost felt like they were there to replay that a little bit. And she kind of, as a soul, I kind of saw a bit of an evolution, in the sense that she said, wait a minute, I'm going to wise up. And when I get older, I'm going to go park myself in the house. She just one day just decided she was going to park in the house, didn't ever want to be in the house before. And because of that, you know, she ended up living longer than any other cat I ever had. So I felt like she had a journey of her own there that was very interesting. So I think there's still got to be an interplay with us as well. I mean, what are we learning through witnessing this? So again, this is a soul connection, and we can't underplay that in our lives. It's a blessing.
It's such a, I think one of the beautiful things about that relationship that we have with our pets is not only do they teach us that unconditional love and, so much about, I think they have an ease about spirit and physical form that we don't have. Like we get very uptight and not, some pets are anxious, but not like people can be anxious, you know what I mean? But I think one of the beautiful things is that they also give us that connection to the world of nature and to the magical world of nature, and that direct connection we have through them. They can really guide us into some deep understanding about the world that we don't see from our human viewpoint. And if we can get that connection, we can really see so much and learn so much about nature and animal life, and they give us that. They're kind of the bridge. The pets are the bridge. They're kind of they're domesticated, right? But they're also of the wild too, and so they're the bridge in between us who are totally domesticated and the wild. I love that.
Yeah, I just saw William Shatner's Unexplained, and he had a really cool episode, if viewers want to see this, where he was talking about psychic animals. And just we forget how wise these animals are. And birds are leaving an area 4 days before a major hurricane came in, and just all kinds of things, and the connections that we have, like the connection between horse and rider and things like that. It's very real, and they are tuned in at levels that, we probably could tune in a little better, but because of all our distractions, it's sometimes a little bit more difficult. So we can look at animals. They always say, like, if your animal likes the people who you're introducing them to, that's a good thing. And then sometimes maybe they're giving you a warning, of what to stay away from. And there's just all kinds of things they do for us if we allow it.
There's so much. There's so much about their wisdom. You've obviously have heard the stories about like dogs who can smell if there's a tumor or illness or something like that on someone. There's so much that they have that, we have some things that they don't have, but they have some things that we can really, really learn from. And it's such a honor and a privilege for all of us that have pets to have that connection to that world through our pets. We should be so grateful for that, really so beautiful. All right, another question. So Lizzie has a question about her male cat. I have a question about my male cat, Roderick. I was told that I was told passed away after going missing in November. So her male cat, Roderick, went missing in November. She was told that he passed away. So she never found him, he never came back. When he went missing, November 25th, we found a kitten 2.5 weeks later. Can animals come back into a life? So clearly that kitten is probably older than 2.5 weeks. Can Roderick's soul have popped into a kitten that was already born? What is your opinion about that?
I hadn't really personally thought much about this until I was on an interview recently where the host really does believe that these cats can just pop right into bodies that they find. So I started thinking about that. I think that has to be possible. I think that it's like any connection that you have with a human, if you really look into their eyes, which I feel like from what you're saying, you can look in your kitten's eyes and just go, oh, wow, okay, there he is. I think it's just a feeling you have, but I definitely think it's possible. I don't believe that mankind in physical form can really understand all of these things. I think I don't think we can do that. That's like a machine trying to understand itself. So, when I give these opinions, these are my opinion, but I definitely think it's possible. But just look in his eyes and I believe you will know. And I think you already do know. So my gut is saying yes.
Yeah. I think that intuitive hit, you when you know, right? I know you know what I'm talking about, Shelley. When you you know. And so you look at them and you're like, if you get that feeling that this is my Roderick come back in this kitten, then you're going to see evidence of it. You're going to be shown that over and over again, and it's going to finally confirm it for you.
Oh, thank God. The thing is, the things that we talk about on these programs, we can't prove any of this stuff, but if it's feeling right and it makes you feel good to love that cat and just to feel that presence and that friendship that you've had before, then I say, hey, come on, of course.
Well, I always say it's like we are coming, when I talk about past lives, I go, this is our best description of what something's happening here. We know that something's happening here. I know, Shelley, you probably have crazy stories about past life regressions with people and discovering things. And you're like, there's no way in heck that person could have known that thing. And here they are coming forward with that. And we see too many things that blow, knock our socks off to say that this isn't real. However, I am open-minded. I go, well, this is our best description of what it is. I'm open to a better description if someone comes up with it. But so far, for the last, I'm 55. So for the last 35 years of my life, this is the best description I had for understanding what is happening when we have these regressions and memories and things that come forward. It's like, okay, I'll go with that until a better answer comes along. So on that, going into past life regression, Anastasia has a question. How do you access one of your past life memories? How do you access past lives? And I know you have a great answer for that because you do it all the time. So what do you recommend maybe, or tell people what you do and the services that you offer? And then how would you recommend that they access it themselves or through you or whatever?
So I've got a lot of books, I guess, because I've had a lot of weird things happen, and I'm just writing books to try to make sense of my weird reality that I have. So several years ago, before I started doing private practice work, I had gone off to Egypt. And when I came back from there, I had a near-death experience and went into the light. And there was beings there, and it was all very cerebral. And then I was kind of shown some things in that space at a very energetic level, let's just say. So when I started offering past life work, because the different regressions had been so transformational, I kind of came out of this experience with this actual knowing that thoughts really are things, and that the memories, that we're talking about, let's say we're talking about, I lived in the 1700s, blah, blah, blah. There's an actual energetic component to that. And so the thing that I've always done that's very different to most past life regressionists is that I'm always sending you energy, and I'm addressing it on the energetic level as well as the talking aspect of it, so that there's really deep transformation that happens. It's kind of like, if I take the lawnmower out and I just mow over the weeds, they're just going to sprout up again. So we go back to the source event of love, health, money, whatever the issue is, let's say. Try to really I question to get you back to the actual source event where different things are happening. We go down there. What lessons did we learn? Why did this, how is this thing that you did in the mead hall, in medieval England or whatever, how is that applying to this thing that we're doing now? And you go, oh, wow, you know what? I'm doing the same thing now. That's crazy. And then just kind of like then taking energy healing techniques and kind of lightening up the vibrational frequency around the memory, around the scene, healing that, and then allowing that to ripple through time and start moving into the cellular structure of the body creates a profound and lasting change for people. And I've got the pet book, and I've got another book that came out in February from Llewellyn called Meet Your Karma, The Healing Power of Past Life Memories. It's really getting into people who experienced extreme cases of stress and anxiety and depression and trauma. And again, they were going to this, they were trying that, it wasn't quite working. And then they found that the thing that pulled the weed up out of the garden was going into past lives, that their problems really were not originating here, but way in the past. And the sad thing is, that has been an epidemic problem for the society for many years. But now, everybody on this planet is experiencing trauma and these things, And so I know that this can really help. And even though the things we're going through right now, let's face it, we're taking it to the next level, okay? But there's still beautiful learnings that are going to come out of this, but there's still ways that even going into past experiences, I think, can help heal some of the things that we're even going through now. And so in my books, I'm really into the idea that I need to give people the tools that they need to do the stuff themselves, so that, people can come have a private session with me, of course, and there's information on my website to schedule sessions, but not everybody can afford that. I just want things to be affordable and accessible to everybody. So there are processes in there, and thank you, Lord, for all this technology, because you can download an app into your telephone and I give you the script and you just read this stuff to yourself and then just play it back and just see what happens. And it's kind of like peeling back layers of the onion. You know, I think we expect that maybe we do have a big epiphany the first time, but maybe we're just making a little room, finding some new light, creating some subtle changes over time, or sometimes it's going to be the huge epiphany that everybody wants. But I've given people just so many journeys. And in the pet book, it's the same. You've got lots of journeys to go meet with your fuzzball, you know, identify grief recovery, go to past lives where you've known your pets, go on animal totem journeys and meet your spirit guide who is an animal, and just all kinds of stuff, because I want people to have access to that, because I think it's important.
It's so good. I mean, I think that it's interesting because you say that sometimes you go into past life regression and it isn't a huge epiphany about like, oh, that's where that came from. But sometimes there's some subtle healing. I mean, I think every past life is going to heal something. It just might not be, you might not recognize it up here, but there's something happening at the soul level every time you go back to a past life. So sometimes I go back, you know, if I go on a journey with my clients and I'm like, well, this was kind of a boring life. Nothing really dramatic happened in this life, but that's still healing for them to have that experience. And maybe that's what they need to have, is a memory of a life that was really good and easy and things went well. So it doesn't mean that it's like dramatic and, oh, you know, all of this stuff every time that you go back. I've had lives that I've gone back to in regression that I've gone like, oh, that was a cool one. And helps me to understand more about myself, but it's not dramatic, you know? And I think those are healing though too, you know, but they don't have the seismic shift that you're talking about, you know? Well, I'm going to look at one more question. And while I'm looking at that question, I'm going to count up the number of entries we have for our reading at the end. So if I'm off here on the side, you'll know why I'm not looking at you.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to look up here and not actually.
Here's a question from Farah. If your past life is holding you back in your current one, what can you do in order to cut those cords and move forward in your life?
Again, you can try some of these journeys. Basically, before you begin a past life regression, you set your intention. Okay, so here's my intention. I either want whatever's for my highest good will come through, or if it's about this specific issue, like I'd like to set my attention that I'm going to go back into the past to see if there's any things from past lives that are standing in the way of my progress right now. And I'm just knowing that higher will be done, and that whatever I am meant to experience here will happen. And then you just go off into the past life, drop into those events, do healing around that. And then one of the processes I take people through is, once we're done with that, to know that a change has been made, we go out into future memories. So I take you out into a memory of an event in this current lifetime that has not happened yet, where you're happy, you're healthy, you've resolved this, the obstacles have been removed. And then we do kind of like a reverse engineering of the soul, where I say, okay, well, you're there now. Okay, all the obstacles are removed. You're living the life of your dreams. So how did you get there? And because you're in this memory, and time is an illusion anyway, so this event in the future has already happened. I say, well, what did you do first? And you say, well, I read the book, and then I met this person, and then I did that thing. And then you start to go, oh, wow, I can see the path that I'm taking to this thing that I really want, or to this feeling that I'm having that things are working out. And then it really comes down to then believing in the things that you get. Like, you need to honor them and actually take action on them. If you believe you need to go do X, Y, Z, and then this and that, leave the session and then start making the decisions that are in alignment with that thing that you intuitively saw, and believe in it. And then there's some real miracles that can be happening for sure.
I love that. You know, I agree 100% in that concept. I say there is co-creation that's happening. The universe has it's like you're partners with the universe, right? The universe has the ability to open doors for us, for sure. But we have to do the walking through the doorway. You know, the universe can open up a million doors, but if you don't walk through that doorway, you're never going to get to the other room. So there is that kind of synergy of doing the intentional work. This is what I want, you know, where I want to go, and the universe will open doors and also keep doors closed. I think there's this very binary way that the universe communicates with all of us, which when we start to see how the system works, we can see open door, closed door. And then a closed door is as valuable as an open door, because a closed door means I'm not going to waste time going down that pathway. It's not going to yield what it is that I want. So when that closed door happens, I, you know, always have that first like, but then I go, wait, oh, it's okay, because what I want is over there anyway. So I love that. I love that. Well, I counted our numbers, and that's why I was like, oh, there's a lot of them. We have 33 entries. So you get to pick a number between 1 and 33 as our person who's going to get the reading from you.
8.
Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lydia wants to know about love. We can bring Lydia on if you want to ask her any further questions, or do you want to just do a reading about love? Do you want to ask her anything?
Yeah, if she wants to give me a sentence or two.
Sure. Hey, Lydia, you're on.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
So do you want to ask a little elaborate a little bit on your love question? Oops.
Is she still there?
She oh, there we go.
There she is.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I just want to know if I am going to be reunited with my true love, my someone I dated when I was in high school.
Okay, great. I'm just thinking about it. Are you in contact now at all?
Off and on.
Off and on? But not in close proximity?
No, I live in Florida. He lives in Kentucky.
It just seems, I've sensed there's energy around him that, I don't know, it's going to take a little while. You just would have to be patient. There's stuff, I don't know if he's working or there's something around him right now, and that's going to have to kind of move.
Okay.
There's hope. I mean, I want to say it's possible, but there's some, like, I don't know if it's his work or there's things that he's working on right now. He's got to move some of those things out of the way so that this possibility would be more open.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Great.
I also kind of picked up that it's like, give it time. Don't try, like, kind of like I was getting an image like a cake in an oven. You don't need to be opening that oven door every 2 minutes to be checking to see if the cake's baking. Let the cake bake in the oven. So not to leave that alone, and not to jumping in on your reading.
Yeah, no, there's like a friendship here, and that needs to develop while these other obstacles are getting cleared. It's kind of like what we were saying about pets, like your pet's meant to be at a certain time. This alignment that has to happen when you're in any kind of relationship, that's a major alignment. So the alignment isn't quite there yet, but that doesn't mean just throw it out and forget it. Because I agree with Pamita. I mean, it's possible.
We're tag team reading, Shelley.
That's right. Hey, wait a minute. This sounds like a show we could do.
I know. Well, no, I just like what you were saying. I'm like, I'm feeling that thing too. But I was like, oh, it feels like the cake needs to bake in the oven a while longer. That there are those things that you're saying. I was like feeling the exact same thing. Like there's something, and it might be, simply the world, like there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. And sometimes that can cause people to feel a sense of insecurity or vulnerability where they shut down. They might have to get something sorted out. There's all kinds of things that are going on right now.
In this case, they may be stuck in their house. I mean,
yeah,
they
exactly.
can't go anywhere, so just give it some time.
Exactly. So you kind of nurture that relationship, and I always say, like, hold the person like this, and whatever makes them happy, and say whatever makes you happy. I love you so much that I want you to make your decision freely, and whatever makes you happy. And that is a beautiful kind of gives water to that relationship. So
I think there's something beautiful also I mean, this situation that we're all in, let's face it, it's messed up with a capital M. We get that. But within that, there's still some beautiful things. A friendship could really take the time to truly develop into something more special than it could be if we were just running around eating dinner all the time or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that can actually be taken advantage of.
Yeah. I think that's, that's really goes back to like everything that when I say like challenging situations, I mean, we're all feeling the challenges, definitely. But in challenging situations, there's always a gift. If you can look for it, you can find the gift. Even in something horrific, if we dig, we can find that gift, and we can create something beautiful, or discover the beauty in something that's really not great. So, think about what gift you can find in this challenging time, Lydia, in this challenging time where the two of you are apart. It's kind of like a Victorian novel where you does he or doesn't say?
Oh, my heart.
Oh, you have to keep 6 feet apart.
Yes.
You have to keep more than 6.
Some comedian would say, we're going to have, he removed her mask.
It's totally that. It's totally that. We're all in Victorian.
That's scandalous. You've got to be kidding. Oh.
It really is that time where we get to live out our Jane Austen fantasies.
Have some fun. Hello.
I know.
Laugh,
Yeah.
Also, congrats on your candle book. I was told to put a candle back here for you,
Pamita. Oh, thank you so much. It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful background you have. I have a background. I have all kinds of crazy backgrounds. I have Pee-wee's Playhouse and rainbows and kitties with laser eyes. I should have put this one for you. Wait a minute. Let me do it now before we go. I'm going to put my special one for you.
Oh, how cute.
Laser eye kitty.
That is too cool for words.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, on that note, let's tell everybody about your special that you're going to be offering if they go to your website. If they buy your book, tell them all about it, what they have to do. Tell them what they have to do.
This is Past Life with Pets. Well, I've got to get the light on it. Okay. So if you go and make a purchase of Past Life with Pets, to thank you so that you don't have to use an app like I recommended earlier, I've recorded this journey that's in the book where you're going to get to go into a peaceful space and walk into a beautiful space where you're going to actually come face to face with your animal spirit guide, who's going to give you messages, timely information about things that we're going through right now, and any other advice that you need from this guide. And so I've recorded this for you so you don't have to. And if you just go to pastlifelady.com, right on the front page, there's a little form. Just fill it out. If you're having a hard time copying and pasting your receipt, just send me an email and I will take care of you, and I will give you a recording.
So cool. That's such a generous and cool thing. And it's like such a great book, you guys. I love this book. It is so fun to read. It's just it's entertaining. You're reading other people's stories. It will help you to see your connection to your pets and your animals around you. I mean, I think it can be even beyond just our pets, but like it could be wild animals. Maybe you're having an animal that's coming around your house, or you have some experience out in nature with animals and they're having some connection to you. So you can kind of see all of these connections to nature through the animal world through this book, and it's such a amazing read. So I just really encourage you. You'll learn so much about past lives. You'll learn about past life regression, and you'll learn about your pets and your relationship to your pets. And don't we all want to just read about cat stories and look at cat things all day? That's what I want to do.
We need some fuzziness in the society right now. Let's face it.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm so thankful for my little Glinda because she just cuddles me all the time. She's the cutest little snuggle bug. So anyway, you guys, so you can check it out at pastlifelady.com. You can find all your information there. I'm going to, I'll put it below the YouTube. When I post this up on YouTube, I'll put below the YouTube all the links to everything where you can find Shelley. And I just want to thank you so much, Shelley, for this time. It goes by in a blink. Can you believe it's been an hour?
This has been such a blessing to meet you. I am a huge fan of your show. And I love it. And I just thank you for having me on the show.
Well, when Shelley and I first got on this call, before we got onto the show, I said to her, I go, I feel like I've met you before. I feel like you met you before. I go, when you do that, it means you had a past life with that person. There's some kind of connection that's there. So I don't doubt it. So we're going to have to figure out tag team psychics or something. I don't know.
Never
Oh
know.
my gosh. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show and sharing with us and answering questions. This was such a great time. So glad to have you in the clubhouse. It was so fun to have you here. Everyone had a ball, and thank you again for sharing your wisdom and your bright, positive energy with us. We just had a ball. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thanks for everybody watching. And you are a blessing, Pamita, and I thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'll put all the links when I put the YouTube video. You can also find her at pastlifelady.com. I want to remind you that next week we're going to have a show, and our guest is going to be a divination enchantress. Her name is Divination Enchantress. Her other name is Carolina Amor, and she's a priestess of Isis and Sekhmet. There's a lion goddess, Sekhmet. We're having a cat themed week, or cat themed month. She's a tarot reader and astrologer. What?
Cat ladies.
Cat ladies. All the crazy cat ladies are here. Carolina Amor is going to be my guest next week. So I hope you join us. Again, you can find us at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern at spellsquad.com. We'll give you the link to join us here, and I hope to see you there. Thanks again, Shelley. I hope you'll come back and join us again sometime.
Oh yes, I'd love to.
Yeah, when you write, well, you come out with a book like every 6 months, so it's not a stretch to say you'll have a new book the next time you come here. But anyway, thank you again so much for joining us, and bye everyone. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.